federal agent fires shots today in Compton after another vehicle ramming. Elon Musk backs a doctor's legal quest to expose so-called gender-affirming care, and the second family makes an exciting announcement. I'm Georgia Howe with Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley. It's Wednesday, January 21st, and this is Evening Wire.
A federal agent was injured in Compton, California after yet another car ramming incident that resulted in shots fired. Daily Wire immigration reporter Jenny Terr has the story.
A CBP officer was injured this morning after an illegal immigrant suspect rammed officers with his vehicle, resulting in an agent firing defensive shots. The officers were trying to arrest William Eduardo Moran Carballo of El Salvador, who is involved in a human smuggling operation and has 2 prior arrests for inflicting corporal injury on a spouse or cohabitant. An immigration judge issued him a final order of removal in 2019. DHS told the Daily Wire, quote, "In a dangerous attempt to evade arrest, this criminal illegal alien weaponized his vehicle and rammed law enforcement. Fearing for his life and safety, an agent fired defensive shots. The criminal illegal alien was not hit and attempted to flee on foot. He was successfully apprehended by law enforcement. The illegal alien was not injured, but a CBP officer was."
President Trump says he will not use military force to invade Greenland, but still stressed that the U.S. must control it. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce reports.
The president spoke at the annual World Economic Forum gathering this morning, of which Greenland has been a major topic. Trump argued U.S. control would strengthen NATO and protect the Western Hemisphere. He went on to say that the U.S. is the only nation capable of securing the strategically located Arctic island amid growing threats from Russia and China.
I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory, sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States.
As tensions rise in Iran over massive deadly protests, President Trump has said he's seeking decisive action. By all reports, the Iranian regime has thus far been completely unwilling to cooperate with the U.S. in efforts to resolve the ongoing turmoil. In response, the U.S. has moved military assets into the Middle East, including an aircraft carrier group and fighter jets, should military force become necessary.
The Canadian military seems to be readying for an American invasion. Daily Wire reporter Zach Jewell has more.
The Canadian military recently modeled an American invasion and reviewed different hypothetical responses. The Globe and Mail, a Canadian outlet, cited 2 senior government officials who said the Canadian military is working on a step-by-step plan to respond to a U.S. incursion. The officials reportedly stressed that the model is not a specific military plan, adding that it remains unlikely that the U.S. would actually launch an offensive operation. Canada has an estimated 70,000 active-duty personnel and has spent just over 1% of the country's GDP on the military in recent years. The United States, meanwhile, fields roughly 1.3 million active-duty troops and commands the world's most sophisticated air power. To fend off a hypothetical U.S. attack, Canada would rely on small militias of volunteer or civilian fighters. The militias would focus on ambushing U.S. forces and using drone attacks, with some tactics mirroring how the Taliban fought American and Canadian troops in Afghanistan.
The Pentagon is making moves to scale back U.S. involvement in some NATO groups. The plan highlights the Trump administration's stated desire to lessen the United States' role in European defense. Pentagon officials stressed that this will not be a sudden change, but rather a scaling down over the next several years, removing U.S. personnel from certain advisory groups and other NATO organizations.
As the federal government investigates him for allegedly working to impede federal immigration efforts, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz appears to be trying to offer an olive branch to President Trump. The embattled governor issued a statement Tuesday inviting Trump to come visit. He wrote, quote, "Mr. President, Minnesota invites you to see our values in action. Come see how communities from all walks of life are working together and how the spirit of the state refuses to be defined by division or fear. I invite you to join me and others in our community to help restore calm and order and reaffirm that true public safety comes from shared purpose, trust, and respect."
This episode is sponsored by Brickhouse Nutrition. By the time the average person reaches 60, they've likely cycled through numerous fad diets like juice cleanses, the cabbage soup diet, and raw food regimens, collectively losing and regaining several hundred pounds over the years. You've probably done it without even knowing that there's a name for it. It's called weight cycling. Half of Americans are stuck in this frustrating cycle, and doctors are now seeing it's not just disappointing, it can actually be dangerous. That's where lean comes in. Unlike those expensive GLP-1 injections, lean is a non-prescription supplement created by doctors specifically for this problem. And the science behind it is rock solid. I used to be that guy in the kitchen here at work loading up on snacks more than a few times a day, but with lean, I spend less time snacking and more time focused in on work. You know the executives love to hear that one. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter WIRE at takelean.com. That's code WIRE at takelean.com today.
President Trump shared criticism Tuesday of some Supreme Court justices involved in the hearing over trans athletes in women's sports.
I mean, they're still trying to sell the idea of men playing in women's sports. You saw that in the Supreme Court. I mean, some of those justices were fighting for them, too. They were fighting for them. Men playing in women's sports doesn't work.
This comes in response to various comments made in the High Court, such as the unwillingness of an ACLU attorney to give a definition for female, and the use of leftist rhetoric by multiple justices. Trump summarized his opinion of the case with this.
All you have to do is look at the records, look at weightlifting records, look at swimming records, look at track and field. It's not fair. It's very demeaning to women.
In other Supreme Court news, justices heard arguments this week regarding a controversial firearm restriction in Hawaii. Daily Wire reporter Lyndon Blake has more.
The Hawaii law prohibits the carrying of firearms on private property open to the public without the express consent of the property owner. While California, New York, and a couple other states have similar laws, it inverts the norm in most other states where gun owners are free to carry in private establishments unless otherwise stated by the owner. The majority of the court appeared to be skeptical of the restriction during arguments, questioning whether it was an undue burden on Second Amendment rights. The lawyer defending the restriction actually cited 19th century laws which prohibited African Americans from carrying firearms in public as precedent. Here's conservative Justice Samuel Alito slamming the attempt to cite the unconstitutional black codes to defend Hawaii's laws.
They wanted to disarm the black population in order to help the Klan terrorize them. They wanted to put them at the mercy of racist law enforcement officers. So is it not the height of irony to cite a law that was enacted for exactly the purpose of preventing someone from exercising the Second Amendment right, to cite this as an example of what the Second Amendment protects?
The High Court also appeared skeptical today of Trump's effort to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Attorneys for Cook argue the move is unprecedented and threatens a century of central bank independence, while Trump's legal team argues the president has broad authority to fire Cook for cause, citing allegations of misconduct that Cook denies and that have not resulted in charges. The justices appeared open to allowing Cook to challenge her removal in lower court.
A majority of Americans support a key element of Trump's proposed health care plan. Daily Wire reporter Amanda Presa-Giacomo has the details.
A survey from On Message Public Strategies and the Insurance Watchdog Coalition asked 1,000 likely voters their thoughts on a variety of healthcare issues. A majority supported the idea of purchasing an insurance plan using direct government funding. 59% said they would specifically back Trump's healthcare pitch. The polling firm described the findings as a center-right coalition, with that 59% being made up of 82% of Republicans and 51% of independents. Just 28% opposed the idea. Last week, Trump announced the Great Healthcare Plan pitch for Congress. The policy webpage states that it would stop sending big insurance companies billions in extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice.
Our listeners may remember the story of Texas doctor Eitan Haim, whom we spoke with last fall. Well, now Elon Musk is funding a lawsuit for Dr. Haim, who claims his hospital destroyed his career after he outed them for illegally transitioning children. Daily Wire White House correspondent Mary Margaret Olahan was first to report it.
Dr. Eitan Haim blew the whistle on Texas Children's Hospital in May 2023, alleging that the hospital lied about ending its transgender medical program and was still attempting to medically transition kids as young as 11. This was despite a recent bipartisan law in Texas that banned such procedures. 1 month later, he was visited by federal agents and remained under investigation for more than a year, an investigation he claims resulted from lies told by former colleagues. His lawsuit, filed this month in Texas, says that individuals at the hospital worked with the Biden DOJ to devise a scheme, quote, to destroy his career and put him behind bars. The case against Heim was dropped when President Trump took office, but he says his career sustained devastating harm as a result of the investigation and legacy media coverage of it. The suit, funded by Musk, names Texas Children's Hospital, Baylor College of Medicine, multiple surgeons, and Texas Children's General Counsel.
And Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife, Second Lady Usha Vance, announced Tuesday they're expecting their fourth child. The baby boy, expected in July, will join his three older siblings, Ewan, Vivek, and Mirabel. With the birth of their new son, the couple will join a small group of presidents and vice presidents who have had a child while in office. In a congratulatory post, the White House X account celebrated being, quote, the most pro-family administration in history.
All right, those are your drive home updates. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it earlier today, we covered some major stories, including Greenland dominating discussions in Davos, Erica Kirk moving to advance the trial of her husband's alleged killer, and we look back at year one of Trump's second term. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.